How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about Bournemouth, and they're looking for compensation from Hawkeye due to a decision in the Premier League this season. We're also going to be looking at Arsenal's Shotran Mustafi because he will miss the start of next season with a hamstring injury, and also sticking with Arsenal and news on Thomas Partey because Arsenal have had their opening bid rejected.
I represent my fucking self.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right. So before we get into today's show, we've got another video from 888 Sport, and like all the other ones, it's gonna cause some debate. I love a good debate, don't I? Watch the video and I will give you my thoughts after.
And I honestly believe, as good as all these players are, and as some of them are going to be end up at the top of the game, I think Phil Foden will go further than any of them. I think he has a ridiculous level.
We got a couple at Arsenal that have been doing really well. I think Saka has been an unbelievable talent, 18 years old, loads of assists. He plays like he's about 25, 26. He plays like a senior player. I can't believe for such a kid.
I want him at City.
Not
You
the
know?
best.
I just want him at City. He's quality, Saka.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, he's absolutely quality. Yeah, given the fact he's 18 as well, and but he's got that much ability already. And he's got a few assists this season already, as well, hasn't he?
He's got double figures assists.
Double figures
Yeah,
assists.
that's ridiculous for an 18-year-old.
He is very good. But Mason Greenwood in his breakthrough season, I think he's got 16 goals in all competitions, 9 in the Premier League.
Record breaking.
And not many starts.
So, what did I say? It's going to cause a debate. Who is the best youngster? Now, I'm going to say this one straight away. You've got young players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example. We're not going to include them in this debate because for me, players like him are established footballers. This is young players that are just bursting onto the scene. You know, like Mason Greenwood, like Bukayo Saka, like Gabriel Martinelli. You know, players like that. That's where we're getting at in terms of it. Phil Foden as well. He's an unbelievable talent. Don't get me wrong. He's brilliant. Mason Greenwood has just been exceptional since, lockdown has finished. Gabriel Martinelli, I would love to have seen how he would have finished the season. He actually had more goals than Greenwood before we restarted the season again. But obviously he didn't get to take part because he picked up an injury. Bukayo Saka, 18 years old, double figures for assists for the season, predominantly playing left back and in a struggling team. Why can't we just look at all these youngsters and just enjoy the fact that they're there and they're playing in the Premier League? If you're an England fan, for example, then the future looks bright when you think about it because, if Saka does commit to playing to England, you've got Mason Greenwood. Phil Foden, you've got so much good talent there. So much good talent. What I will say is that probably the young player that hasn't lived up to expectations is probably Callum Hudson-Odoi. Wanted by Bayern Munich. So much problems and everything. And it seems like he, held Chelsea to ransom, got what he wanted, fat new contract, and then he's done nothing. Nothing. And he's been the one big disappointment. But the other names that I'm mentioning, superb. Absolutely superb. And it just depends who you support and what you think, really. But if you're honest, they're all unbelievable talents. It's as simple as that. So I want you lot to let me know what you think. The full video is going to be in the description. Head on over there. Leave your comments in the comment section. I will go over there, pick out some of the best ones. And I will answer or debate, dependent on what you say. But links are in the description, like I said. Get yourself involved and let's have another discussion. So with that said, let's go and get in today's show. Starting off with Bournemouth and the news that the board are going to have a meeting later on in the week to discuss whether they can pursue compensation against a decision by Hawkeye, which has ultimately contribute to them being relegated from the Premier League. Now, we all know the incident in question, and it was the first game back from lockdown. And it was Sheffield United, Aston Villa. Sheffield United scored a perfectly legitimate goal. And for some reason, Hawkeye, for the first time in its entirety, never worked. The ball was clearly over the line. And for some reason, it just did not work. Now, when you look at the incident at the time of play, the Sheffield United players are asking the referee, that's a goal, surely. You've seen it cross the line. The referee is looking at his watch, which will tell him whether the ball has crossed the line. Now, there's no reason to question that decision because it's always worked. 100% of the time, it's been correct. It's never been wrong. It's not like VAR. So when the Sheffield United players are asking the referee and he's saying his watch has not notified him, they're not going to believe anything else. There wasn't even a protest because they believe in the technology. But for some reason, it didn't work. And after the game, when the images and everything else, it was so clear and obvious the ball had crossed the line. And Hawkeye themselves have said that it was just a one-off incident, a 1 in a billion chance, I think it was, or something along them lines. And to do with the flight of the ball and with the keeper in the net at the same time and whatever it was, but it just didn't pick it up. Absolutely unbelievable. And, you know, we'll get this straight. That's not the reason why Bournemouth are not in the Premier League anymore. You know, one game that had nothing to do with them is not the reason why they're not in the Premier League. Yes, it might have a contributing factor, and it's a big, big factor. But they had 38 games to, you know, establish themselves in the Premier League, and they didn't. They simply were not good enough. But the fact that they can, you know, possibly, you know, look at compensation says it all and how aggrieved they really feel. And, you know, the statement by Hawkeye, what they're saying as well, they admitted that it was their error, that the ball had crossed the line. And there's no getting away from that. But what can you do now? Bournemouth have got to go and play in the Championship. Aston Villa, because let's remember it involved them, and they stayed up. If they would have lost that game, they'd be relegated. It's crazy when you think about it. The one time it never worked. And it's had such a big impact on the final standing at the end of a season. And yeah, I don't know what Bournemouth are going to get out of it. I think that they, you know, understand that they weren't good enough to stay in the Premier League. They had 38 games to do it. And they just simply were not good enough. But there is this part that leaves a sour taste in the mouth because it shouldn't be happening. Regardless, that's why the technology is being brought in so that these kind of incidents don't happen. And yeah, it's one of those. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but maybe they might get a little bit of compensation, but I don't think that will compensate too much for having to, you know, step down from the Premier League and go back into the Championship. But we will wait and see what happens. Next piece of news involves Arsenal, and Shotran Mustafi will miss the start of next season after having surgery on a hamstring injury. The 28-year-old defender sustained the problem in the closing stages of the FA Cup semi-final win over Manchester City, ruling him out for a second FA Cup final. So, of course, he did miss the last one as well. It's the second final. And I feel so sorry for him because he's really improved under Mikel Arteta. And his performance in that semi-final against Manchester City, you know, you're going to miss him. And it was so innocuous how it happened. He was down the line. It was literally injury time. And he swung his body round to clear the ball. And it looked like the injury initially was around the foot ankle area. But he's obviously overstretched, done something to his hamstring. But even then, he walked off the pitch. You know, he was holding it, but you thought, okay, it's maybe just a slight, you know, pull. It's maybe just a little bit tight. And there's no problem with, you know, it's a little bit tight and there's no need to risk it or anything else. But he's had to have surgery. Why does this always happen to Arsenal players? You know, Martinelli gets injured in training for something that sounds so innocuous. He has surgery and he might not be back until 2021. You know, Mari picks up an injury against Manchester City as well in the first game after lockdown. Another one that looks so innocuous. He's had to have surgery. What on earth happens to our players? The most simplest looking injuries end up having catastrophic consequences. And it's like, come on, man. But it goes on to say that he's undergone the surgery in order to repair the injury and will aim to return to training in October. An Arsenal statement read, right hamstring injury sustained during the Emirates FA Cup semi-final on July the 18th. Further assessments during the week identified a significant injury to the right hamstring. As a result, Shotran had a successful small procedure to his right hamstring on Saturday. So yeah, it's a massive blow, and it's a big blow for him because it's his second FA Cup final. And what you can say with this one especially, he has contributed a big deal in getting us there, especially with that semi-final against Manchester City. I feel so sorry for him. But listen, if we can win the FA Cup, I suppose he's not going to moan too much. He gets a winner's medal. He'd be happy. He'll probably be there celebrating or whatnot if he's allowed there. I don't know what the protocol will be given the current situation, whether you're allowed other players that are not fit and whatnot at a final. Be interesting to see. But it's a big blow. And a big blow for Arsenal given, you know, this game on Saturday against Chelsea. But yeah, the same thing happened in 2017 when we had no defence and we had to bring the likes of Per Mertesacker into the side. And we were playing against the then champions Chelsea and Diego Costa. And we know how that ended up finishing. So we will hope for the same result again. Last piece of news, sticking with Arsenal. And of course, a name that's been mentioned for quite a while now is Thomas Partey. And I've said it already, if we do sign this guy, I'm going to have one hell of a Partey. But Arsenal's £22.5 million bid with unwanted star Matteo Guendouzi included as a makeweight has reportedly been rejected. The part exchange deal appears to have collapsed due to Atletico's demand for Partey's release clause, which is valued at just under £50 million. Atletico want it to be met for any negotiations to go ahead this summer. According to Get French Football News, Arsenal's attempt to include hothead Guendouzi as part of the switch failed to interest Atletico. The 27-year-old Partey remains one of the club's key targets this summer, but the Emirates outfit appear unwilling to meet his hefty valuation. Their efforts to offload an unwanted star in Guendouzi, who has been frozen out of the first team picture since the defeat to Brighton last month, fell short with Atletico steadfast in their desire to keep their prized asset. So yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. I think with most negotiations, you know, this is what happens. I see on social media people having meltdowns. Just pay the money, just pay it. Oh, what you doing? This is what negotiations are all about. Arsenal ain't going to go straight in there, even with him having a release clause, and say, yeah, you know what, have it. Off you go. Arsenal have got players that they need to get rid of. So they're going to offer those players as part of any potential deal. So that's what they're going to do. They will say to Atletico, you know what, we got Guendouzi. How much, along with him, do you want? You never know. Atletico could turn around and say, yeah, you know what, all right, yeah, we'll take this much. It's all part of dealing, you know, within football and transfers. It's not as simple as you lot think, where there's a price tag, get him, done, dusted. There's so much involved. Let the men that know deal with the situation. If we don't sign him, then you can sit and look at the bigger picture and say, well, what did you do wrong and X, Y, and Z. But at the moment, let them do what they're doing. And I think Thomas Partey may well become an Arsenal player sooner rather than later. I'm hoping anyway, that's for sure. So there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about today's topics. Let me know what you think about this potential swap deal. Guendouzi, Partey, are you for it, against it, offer the money? What do you reckon? There's going to be so much content coming out this week, like I keep saying. With the 888 video, links in the description as well. Get yourself involved in that one. No doubt there's going to be a lot of debate. And Manchester United fans probably in the mention saying, Greenwood. Oh, yeah, it's just going to happen, innit? But why can't we just enjoy all of these young players and, you know, what they're going to do in the future? They're unbelievable talents. It's as simple as that. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video, and I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.